Oh. Oh.
Issues with my audio on my computer the other day. And I was working with the IT consultants who think they fixed it. Is it sounding okay or am I broken up?
No, sounds okay.
Good, thank
Hold
you.
on, I forgot something.
Does it sound okay to you?
Sounds good to me.
If there are problems, please let me know and I will jump on with audio on my phone and video on the screen.
I just want, I have to leave at 5, so I can only stay an hour. I apologize, but
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it and we'll try and keep it short and pithy. I'm gonna go get a hard copy. I'll be right back.
Short and pithy means we're also in the weeds, more like burdock early in season.
Oopsie, oops. Oh. Phew. Okay. Whew.
are you?
Oh, there it is.
Can you hear us?
Yes. I can hear Paul sign. I can hear you. I can read.
Okay, and very good.
I lost Keith.
Lost Keith. Does anyone know how to share your screen with this application?
Yeah, if you go down,
Oh, I see it. Share
Bottom.
screen.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Very good. When we get to the spreadsheet portion of this here, I will look to share my screen on that, and we can, I hope that will make communication a little easier. People have to leave by 5 o'clock. Time. I'm hoping that Keith will be able to come back and join us. Maybe he had some technical issue. He was here a moment ago. But in the interest of time, I think we'll start with the regular part of the agenda and move forward if there are no exceptions to that. Okay. We did not have a December meeting, so there was no meeting notes of the previous meeting to comment on. In terms of the grants and current grants and construction projects that are in progress, well, I think you said you're pulling together a final cost report for the north and east walls. Has that been done?
Yes. I have something somewhere here. Yeah, the north wall is absolutely done, complete. The total cost for the work was $311,732. All of that was paid to the contractor. We received a total of $206,879 through the State Public Library Construction Grant, leaving our share with $104,853. Again, everything's been paid on the north wall and the work is complete.
Change orders that were included in that? Is that included in your summary?
I'm sorry?
Change orders for that project, is that included in your summary?
That's including everything.
Change orders identified in your summary?
I'm sorry?
Your summary list the change orders.
Yeah, I don't have that with me.
Nice to see.
They were relatively minor anyway.
Don't know what minor is. Were there $500 ones, or were there $10,000 ones, or $50,000 change orders? I don't know what we're
Oh,
talking
no,
about.
all under $10,000. Most of them involved the basic, but some additional work we needed to do on foundation stones. But that's about it.
It'd be great to see a summary of what the original bid was, what the change orders were, and then what the total cost was, and then what the state reimbursement was, and what our share is. If it's possible to pull that together, I think it'd be very helpful.
Yeah, I don't have that with me.
I understand. When you pull that together, if you could share that out with the committee, that'd be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. And you said that's the north wall,
That's the north wall, yep.
east wall?
The east wall is also complete. The total cost of the work on the east wall was $152,800. Originally, we received 125,000 from a municipal, a SAM grant through the legislature. And so our share of that was 27,800. Again, all the work is completed on the east wall as well.
Hey, if you could send a little memo that sort of summarizes those numbers, I appreciate it. I'm just not able to write these things down quickly enough to follow. If you could send it to me, appreciate it. Thank you. The cupola, what's happening with that?
What's that?
What's happening with the Lansingburg cupola?
Well, that is also, the work is done. We haven't been billed. The bill we expect, well, there was some initial change, some initial confusion there. But the bill that we received should be 28,600, which is only about 600 over the original estimate. The grant we received only about, or we will be receiving only about a total of 17,000 on that. So that leaves us with a library share of closer to 11,000. We weren't fully funded on that grant. So that's why the difference.
And we have a source
We have
identified.
received the initial payment. We haven't received the final 10% payment on that.
Okay. And have we identified a source for the remaining 11,000?
That comes out of our unrestricted construction fund.
That TAP was working on bid documents for the at the main branch.
Yeah, we don't have those yet. TAP is still working. I assume we'll have them very, very soon. And be able to bid that project.
By the end of February?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully before then.
Go to SED for review, or is it just go out for bid?
What's that?
Point, it just goes out for bid?
Yeah, we expect to be out to bid, long before the end of February.
Excellent time to be going out for bids. It's certainly, prices are most advantageous before the end of February, so that's good. Glad to hear it. Grant application for the 2021 Public Library Construction Grant for the cornice work at the main branch.
Not a word.
Oh, boy. Okay, I think we've got a partial award there, 160,000. And so we need to wait for them to give the final blessing on it before we can proceed with that. Questions from anybody on the committee about these items?
So that last one is just awaiting approval from DASNY, is that correct?
Well, it's reviewed, of course, by the Division for Library Development, who sends it on to DASNY for their review. I'm not sure whether it's even been sent yet, because I haven't heard anything of, there's no update. I haven't heard a word from either DLD or DASNY or anybody.
Worth making an inquiry with DLD to see if they've passed it on?
Yeah, I can check. I can ask around, but we'll see.
Which court it's in?
What's that?
Which court it's in?
Yeah, right.
Update the committee, let folks know that I did meet with Clough Harbor Associates, who are working on a grant for providing a geothermal loop for downtown Troy. They're in the midst of which they understand will happen in the summer of 2022.
Did you cut out for a bit for me? I don't know whether you did for others as well. The part after they're in the midst, and then there was something, and then.
Okay. If there's an audio problem here, I apologize, and I will sign on with the phone. So.
Well, it may have been on my end. Nobody else.
I had the same problem. You cut out.
Carrying on, or should I try an alternate means of audio?
Hold it.
Apologies, let me just bring this up here. So I'm going to mute myself here and
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to mute my speakers here. Excuse me. I don't know how to mute my speakers. So I hope we don't end up with a lot of feedback. Am I intelligible?
Yes.
Thank you. So I met with the team that's putting together a grant for a geothermal heating loop for downtown Troy. Siemens and Clough Harbor Associates are working on phase 1 of a plan for downtown, starting at Monument Square. The Monument Square phase will be built in the summer of 2022. Phase 1A will include Russell Sage College and the Ahern Apartments, and is planned for summer of 23. And there's a strong possibility that that would be close enough to us at the main branch that we could tie into that phase 1A portion of the project. So we will continue. I want to let the committee know that these are initial conversations. To my understanding, there's no financial commitment by the library that's required to participate in this. but they have asked us to share our historic structures report as well as 12 months of utility bills so they can get a sense of the library's current and potential future energy needs so that the loop can be sized appropriately. Are there any questions about the geothermal loop or this grant?
I have
What
a,
kind? Oh, you go first.
that's okay, Keith, go ahead.
What kind of engineering and construction are we going to need on our end? And is their sizing so critical? Should we remind them that we might very well be expanding our footprint?
So that is why they're asking for our copy of our historic structures report so they can understand what our plans may be. And I have told them that this historic structures report is very preliminary in terms of what we are looking at.
Unless Keith has a follow-up question, I'll go. I'm surprised to hear the Ahern Apartments mentioned because they don't exist. Is it City Station? Is that what is being discussed, or Taylor Apartments?
Whatever's next to Russell Sage.
Taylor, right?
Probably Taylor then.
Thank you.
Interesting, because some of that is scheduled for demolition.
Yes.
So it does seem feasible that we could be included, that we'd be sufficiently close to participating in this.
That was what they suggested, yes.
Great. And does this have any impact on what we would be doing in terms of HVAC?
Only in terms of what our energy source would be. So
Okay.
the HVAC, if we tie into the geothermal loop, it might mean that we don't need to have a boiler. Or if we're doing air conditioning, maybe we don't need to have a cooling tower. But the equipment on the room end of the system would remain the same.
Mhm. So is this something we need to consider in terms of trying to get an improved HVAC system and ventilation? How does it impact any efforts that we might have in trying to move ahead with that?
Doesn't change it.
Okay.
At this phase, I mean, if we had bid documents together, there would be impact potentially. The systems we've been discussing to date are all intended to be interchangeable in terms of what their energy source is.
Do you know if this would be maybe a one-time opportunity, or going forward, would we be able to participate, you know, at our own choosing, you know? Say we missed, you know, the first round, can we sign up, you know, at a later date, I guess?
Good question. We'll have to ask.
'Cause,
And they're not
really,
looking for a commitment right now either.
Yeah.
Sure.
We sort of have two major problems with the heating system. One would be the boiler, the other would be the delivery system. And of the two, the delivery system is, you know, in worse shape. So there would be an advantage in, you know, without having to worry about boilers and repairs and that sort of thing, but we still have a problem with the delivery system.
and the delivery system only provides heating and doesn't provide cooling. So I think we understand that's been a challenge, and if we can look at trying to find a solution that would provide cooling and a more modern delivery system, that would be a benefit.
So is this definite? I mean, 2022 is pretty close.
It's definite for Monument Square. Phase 1A is in the planning process. But
So when we say Monument Square, do we mean the Monument Square project? It's
I
like-
don't know. They didn't spell out the limits of the Phase 1A. They just described it as Monument Square, River Street, not including the Taylor Apartments. Evelyn, I think you had a question.
Yep, actually I have two, and I'm not sure if my terminology is going to be correct, but question one is, you had mentioned the word grant. Are they still, do they actually have a grant, or they're preparing a grant? And the second question is, how do we actually loop into whatever's being done at Sage? I have absolutely no idea how this physically works.
So my understanding, Evelyn, is that they have had a grant and received a grant for the Phase 1,
Okay,
and that is now in the design document and bidding phase. And my understanding was that construction was anticipated for summer 22 for the Phase 1. The Phase 1A, I believe they have a grant. I'm not positive that grant has been awarded or not. I can't get into the details on that. The sounded like their plan for Phase 1A would be to go down River Street, extend over across the Russell Sage campus, and turn the loop back up 2nd Street. So going right in front of our front door. So it's just be a matter of reaching out from our building to that loop in the street.
so they construct something there, and then we construct something that attaches to it. It's like plugging something in from here to there. I know I'm saying this so simply, but
Yeah, essentially, yes. There's probably we'd probably connect at 2 places. One where we draw water in, or a watery chemical mix into the building, and then another where we'd return that water back to the loop.
So if we were going to work with this, would we be working with the Simon, or would we be working with the city of Troy?
I think this group here, Siemens and Clough Harbor, are lucky. I honestly, I don't know, Carolyn. I don't think it's this. I don't know who owns the loop after this process has been built. I'll learn more about it. It's new to me as well. We had one meeting and expressed interest in it, and with approval of the committee and the board, I'd like to ask that we get authorization to share the historic structures report with this group, as well as 12 months of utility bills for the downtown branch.
Also move.
public knowledge anyway, so.
Right. I'm not sure our bills are, but we certainly can gather together. So in terms of process, I hear a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. And
Aye.
we'll do everyone's everyone in assent, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Any abstentions? Doesn't look like it. And no lines. So do we need to make is this a motion to go to the board, or can we take this forward directly to share this information?
It would be my belief that it's the board that makes decisions
Okay, then
and the committees.
report in the minutes that this is a recommendation of the committee to the board that we share this information with this group of Siemens and Clough Harbor. And I'll follow up with them after the feedback from the board, if the board gives positive consent to that. Thank you. Getting back to the historic structures report, we did get an updated version of that recently from Misa Cohen Wilson Baker. They had gotten feedback from SHPO, and it was positive and supportive. I think it made a few minor clarifications to them for their benefit. That being said, there was a comment in the previous meeting or that there should be a committee recommendation to the board to accept the report. Are there any reservations informally with this group here to making a recommendation to the board to accept the report as it stands?
I have one issue, and that's that I think after seeing what SHPO requested, that we should also recognize the Preservation League for their contribution, just as SHPO is being recognized for their financial contribution. Sorry, it didn't occur to me earlier that that should be done.
And that recognition will be part of the motion by the board?
I guess so. It needs to be conveyed to MISIC and all, so they can make that modification.
I'm sorry, you would like that bound into the report, or is that something you'd like to do as an independent action by the board of the library?
I think it should be part of the report. I think it's traditional to recognize contributors in that way. But other people may know more about that than I. It just seems that I've seen that occur in other situations. Paul, Carolyn, I think you've both worked on grants. Do you have any familiarity?
I mean, usually when we have a grant, you thank them everywhere you possibly can, so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it would be remiss if we recognize SHPO and we don't, or the state of New York, whomever it officially is, and don't recognize the Preservation League. I think it would look strange for its absence on the report.
Okay, I'll reach out to Misa Cohen Wilson Baker to include that, to include that comment to recognize the Preservation League.
Do you want me to
in
check on
addition
language?
to- Come again?
Do you want me to check on the language to make sure that we have the right language?
If you have specific thoughts on the language, please share it.
Okay, I'll try and research what it should say. But go ahead and continue, sorry.
So I believe this recognition is in addition to other recognition in the report that recognizes SHPO and New York State, is that correct?
Yes, they had added that on the recommendation of SHPO. So we need the equivalent for the Preservation League.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. You say they added. And who's they
MCWB.
and
Me
did
say-
what?
They at the request of SHPO, they said they added that recognition of SHPO's contribution to the final report. So we need the equivalent for the Preservation League, who also provided financial support, to be added to the report.
Okay.
And I'll
I'll
find
look for
out the
any
official
specific-
name.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions?
Question,
Evelyn?
were there other changes that were suggested to the report or made to the report?
Not that I'm aware of.
So that was it about the acknowledgements. You're muted.
I'm not aware of any other changes. It was the only comments that SHPO had that were updated in the report and included in the part of the addendum or appendix.
Were the acknowledgements, the financial acknowledgements. I'm sorry, I'm getting
Not-
confused.
I'm not aware of any other changes.
Okay, all right, that was it.
If there are no other questions or comments on the historic structure report, I'd like to move on to an introduction of a matrix comparing multiple options we've been considering for library facilities. To that end, if I may, I will share my screen. I'm sorry, Evelyn, I think you're the host and you've disabled participant screen sharing.
I do not believe I am the host, but I'll click this thing. Does that change things?
No,
Is this?
Spell the host.
I'm just using the laptop. I'm not the host.
I think you are the host.
Got a problem.
We see your screen.
Let me click again. I lost this page.
So when you're down on the bottom and you see where it says share screen, and it's got like an up arrow there.
Well, right now, I'm not even on the meeting.
I think you've got two sessions open.
Cancel this. Cancel this. Let me go back.
I'm doing a lot of, there we go.
Let me see if I can. Leaving. Show grid view. Screen sharing. Well, let's see if I can go here.
Yeah.
trying to can't stop. Oh, what if this works? Did that work any
Oh, there we
better?
are.
Well, that's where we were last beforehand.
Right, but if you go and you click on that share screen, it should bring up a menu and one of them says enable screen sharing.
Enable, okay, let's see. Oh, I'm clicking the green arrow.
Mhm. Does it give you options there that say,
Screen, whiteboard, iPhone, meeting information, my nightcap. Those are the four things. And there's a little blue thing that says share, but that's not what we want.
no, because that means you're sharing yours, but there should be a way for you to, like mine is disabled, so I can't even see it. But it should have an option to like, that it'll allow the rest of us to share our screen if we wanted to.
Interesting, because mine is, I can see my icon and it is green, but it won't let me click on it. And
Right, when I click on mine, it
Those-
just says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
When I came on this, I didn't use the libraries link. I used my own link, just so I wouldn't have to do this.
Well, who did it then? Somebody started the recording.
Yeah,
was
I don't have
started
no clue.
before-
It wasn't me.
it
You know,
was- actually said it was recording before I signed on.
right, it seemed like it was automatic. I don't know whether Joy set it up that way.
Keith, are you there? I think you were the first one in the meeting.
But Evelyn, when I'm looking at our participants, it shows you as the host.
Okay, let me go to,
So-
if I go to participants, can I take myself off as host?
No, once you
Oh.
start the meeting, you can't change that.
Interesting, is I particularly didn't do the library as office and host. I don't know what to do.
Do we need that? Or do people have access to it
Well, I mean, I have
on
mine.
their own computers?
Yeah, I have mine in front of me. I'm willing to work with that.
Okay. Then we'll try and do it without screen sharing.
I'm sorry about that. I'll see what for next time.
I don't have,
So I tried to, first off, I tried to list all the options we've discussed. So if you look on the left-hand side of this page, you'll see options A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And under those, then there are numbers 1, 2, 3 typically. A1 refers to the work proposed at the Hart Library, the main branch library. A2 refers to the status of Lansingburg, and A3 refers to other work that would happen for physical locations for the library. These are concepts that committee members had proposed, and I have tried to accurately and dutifully replicate what we've talked about in the past. I would ask you please to review those descriptions, especially if it's something that you had proposed or championed, and please clarify if I've misinterpreted something or it's not correctly reflecting your intentions. In particular, where possible, I've tried to extract information from the historic structures report and the various cost estimate levels that were presented in that report. So you can see option 1A. My understanding of it was that this is a limited restoration of the main branch, the Hart Library, only to the extent needed for a local branch library. And as such, I interpreted that to mean that this was the historic structures report, critical repairs only. So the historic structures report, big document, many pages to it. Page 120, 121, 119. Those are all different levels of cost estimates for different levels of reconstruction work. So I interpreted this person's extent of renovations that were required to create a local branch library be very limited. Only the critical repairs that were identified on page 119 of this report. And that's where this $2.58 million number comes from.
Just, I don't have that report in front of me, so I don't know if you can clarify. Is there, are we putting in HVACs? Is that a critical repair or is that something different?
Excellent question. So under critical repairs of the report, it lists restoration and stabilization of the marble parapets on the outside of the building, replace balustrades with marble or stone equivalent, removal and replacement of the rubber roofing, installation of new HVAC systems, remove and replace existing wiring, repair broken and cracked glass in lay lights. So they had identified critical, high, medium, and low needs. So whoever proposed option A, please let me know if you think that, oh, I actually meant to include a greater scope of work in order to create a new local branch library. And as you look down through this list here, you'll see that I believe I've got prices in for the scope of work for the main branch library for each of the options A, B, C, D, F, G. As we move forward, we'll need to develop cost estimates for purchasing land, for building new buildings, etc. And I can certainly work with professional construction managers to identify a cost per square foot. You'll see, for instance, option A3 lists 3 new branch libraries, each about 6,000 square feet. So it's a math exercise then to go from cost per square foot times 6,000 times 3. And then that would be the construction cost estimate for that building. However, we're doing 3 new branch libraries. We're going to need to put it on a piece of property. It's not going to float out in the middle of space. I'll be looking to reach out to the committee on any recommendations on who might be able to advise us on what is current real estate going for in Troy or Lansingburg. Similarly, option A2 talks about selling the Lansingburg branch. Should we anticipate that that's worth $10,000 as a purchase price, or is it worth $2 million? Again, I've been looking for somebody who could advise us on real estate and what that cost might be. In the middle of the page, you'll see there are some blocks that are laid out for mortgage or financing. And again, we'll need to reach out to some people who are smarter and more experienced than I in terms of banking or bonding. So this is where we need to talk to a bond counsel who could point us in the right direction. And then all the way to the right, you'll see that this is also trying to capture staffing changes. So if we have 3 new branches, We need to have staff in these branches. And so I would look to work with Paul and his team to get an idea of what that financial impact might be. And try and
I need-
quantify what the financial implications that would be as we move forward with these various options.
Yeah, I think I need a little clarification here on this whole section A.
Sure.
We're looking at, I'm not sure I understand. We're looking at, we've identified 4 different locations in the city, but we're only gonna build 3 branches. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you sell Lansingburg and then build 3 branches. How do you serve Lansingburg?
One of those new branches might be in Lansingburg. I don't know. This is not an option I had proposed. Does anyone recall who proposed option A?
Paul? Did
Well,
you?
yeah, my original idea would be 3 other branches, and you already have Lansingburg. You would retain that.
So might that be,
So that would
did
come
did
to
I
a total of
misunderstand
5.
that? Okay, perhaps I misunderstood that. So Paul, option A was the option you had proposed?
Yeah, what I had in mind was that you would retain the Lansingburg location and you would build 3 other branches.
Okay, so I apologize for my error. I will strike selling Lansingburg, and instead we'll say we maintain Lansingburg in its current configuration?
Basically, you know, it has been fairly well, we've been, you know, maintaining it fairly well, actually, considering the fact that it's as old as it is. It would be nice to do some more work in changing its current configuration a bit. But I don't see a huge change. there.
So could we describe perhaps as renovate or modernize, but no additions?
Yeah, perhaps I wouldn't, recommend an addition. I don't know if there's enough land anyway, but
Okay.
yeah, I would say, you know, working on, you know, perhaps a little modernization, perhaps getting up access to the upstairs, handicapped access to the upstairs, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But that's something, you know, that can be done in the way as we go along, particularly the handicapped access to the upstairs would be perfect for a public library construction grant, because that's exactly what they want to see.
Great. Okay, I will update that. I apologize for my error. Evelyn, looks like you have some thoughts?
I do. A question. How you've described A3, is the focus on new build versus, I know rehabbing is not your favorite way of going about things, but,
I do a lot of rehab all the time.
well, you had once, when I had, you once said to me, that's like the worst option. But are you thinking solely of new build versus finding a site that could be turned into a library?
This, option A was Paul's options. I can't speak for Paul. I'll let Paul.
Okay, so someplace else, we have some other options for the branches, like finding
Yeah,
some.
option G.
Well, yeah, obviously, if there was a, you know, property available that would be easy to convert to a branch, you'd probably want to, you know, and in the right place at the, you know, yeah, you'd probably want to use that.
So,
Again, sometimes conversion, you know, of an existing property may cost almost as much as building a new one.
Or more.
Yeah,
I've heard different organizations say that it can be more costly to rehab
yeah.
Certainly.
than to start new where, you don't have to work around all the old.
I guess what I was saying is that a high priority is a building and location that works, for the kind of service we want to provide that community. So trying to, fit a size 12 foot into a size 9 shoe would not be the way to go here.
Right. So without getting into the specific details of each option, unless people have comments on their own option that they had previously proposed, they want to clarify things. Do people have questions about the general format of this matrix?
I like it. Yeah, I think it helps streamline everything in your head. Kind of shows us what we need to do.
And I think hopefully at the end, we'll be able to say option A will cost this, option B will cost this, option C will cost this. And then we'll have to have that conversation. What can we afford? What do we think we can pursue? And will it meet the ends that we need? And we're probably going to end up with something that doesn't meet every end we need. And it's hopefully affordable. And that's going to be a challenge. Does anyone have any recommendations on who we might turn to about real estate and trying to put some numbers to some of this real estate?
I can check around.
Thank you. Anybody has any thoughts on it? Real estate brokers, or we're not looking to find somebody who's got a property for sale at this point. We're just trying to high level and make sure we try to plug in a number that is approximate. So going across the top,
Does the city have any? Does the city have any vacant properties that we could utilize? That might be a possibility instead of buying property. You know what I mean? Either vacant lot areas or vacant buildings in those areas that we want to serve.
they may, and it certainly is worth something pursuing and looking at. I think before we do that, we want to understand what areas, where we want to be. And then ask the city if there's anything available, opposed to saying, what do you have available? And then we end up with a great library someplace where we don't want a library.
Kirsten, I'm thinking that the city might be able to provide information through its economic development folks as to areas that might be available, as well as find or develop listing of the demographics.
And potentially what costs might be. That's a great idea. Thank you. So if anyone has any leads on commercial brokers, please let me know. In the meantime, I'll also reach out to the city and see if they can give some advice on this from a planning standpoint. Going across the top of the matrix, we've got the options, for the description of each option. Again, if anyone's got a clarification like Paul gave me on option A, please let me know if you have clarifications you'd like to see on options that you proposed in the past.
Well, down in G.
I'm sorry,
down in G, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Down in G, I'm a little nervous about phrasing it as restore Maine as per HSR modernization phase 2. I thought I talked a little more about do some restoration, but also very much modernization for fit for purpose. The other question I have, and something you discussed, and I'm not sure where it fits, would be just doing an addition to Lansingburg for ADA bathrooms and the elevator. I think I called it the lift and loop, and that was something you brought up. Where does that fit?
So I believe that option G was the one I had proposed. The line 1 was the full reconstruction and modernization of the library, the main branch library, and that $12.626 million number comes from the HSR report. It's phase 1. That's the most expensive option, short of building an addition next door in the parking lot. And the Lansingburg branch description on line 2 is similar to what you're suggesting, suggesting an addition to the extent possible on the existing site, as well as providing ADA access, bathrooms, and a lift or an elevator to get to the second floor.
But I think we had questioned whether an addition would be necessary at Lansingburg, or that the main constraint was a lack of access to the second floor for everyone.
Well, option G is my option, so I'm sticking with what I got.
So I think one of the considerations with building the addition in Lansingburg was we were saying we didn't have enough space for all the things we wanted to do in the main library. And there might be more space in Lansingburg to put in, if we put an addition on Lansingburg, because we don't have room to put an addition on in Troy, in downtown Troy. I think one of the considerations in doing that was to create space for some of the workshops or collections or whatever that we don't seem to have room for if we do in the main library that we'd like to either add, or the restorations that we'd like to do. I think that's what we were thinking. At least that's what I was thinking when I proposed the addition in Lansingburg as an option. I've lost you. Is anybody there? Hello.
Hello.
I agree that
I'm
Kristen wasn't the
doing-
only one to propose an addition.
And Jerry, so I don't recall, did you propose option B or C?
I think it was C. Jerry.
Yeah, you were the
I
mobile,
don't- I think I
so
took.
it would have been C,
Yeah, that was
Because-
C. Yes.
because you wanted to do the mobile.
I think I also mentioned teaming up with other organizations, or was that somebody else's? Because I thought that maybe we could team up like the Italian Community Center and rent some space from their place as well. So I don't know. First of all, I can't see this whole matrix because I'm doing this downstairs where I have very little computer access, and I'm sort of putting the matrix on my phone, which is a small phone.
So we
I don't
don't
see the whole-
need
the whole
to get
thing.
into the weeds on this right now. I'm just trying
Right.
to, if people have specific comments on their options, if they could please email that to me, I appreciate it, and I'll update the matrix accordingly.
I hate to say that I have to leave, but I do have to leave. But before I go, I do want to just make a recommendation, suggestion, or whatever. I recently picked up a book. I had listened to a podcast, and the author was talking about his book. It's called Palaces for the People. I don't know if anybody has read it, but it's all about social infrastructure. And there's a really good chapter in there about libraries and how important they can be as a building, and how important the building space is for it to be able to fulfill its mission. So if you have time, It's definitely worth a read. And there are 6
Thank-
copies in the system. So
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
recommendation.
I'll talk to you later. See you next.
So please let me know if there are any questions about the matrix, about the format of the matrix. Please let me know if you have specific comments on the option that you had proposed.
In terms of maybe filling in some more figures, everything here costs quite a bit and would probably, at least as far as I can see, involve bonding. So we may need to have some estimates on the cost of bonding, which, you know, we need to
And-
make inquiries. There's a couple different ways I guess we can go.
Yes, please. I appreciate any insight you can give to that. The intent would then be plug that into the middle of this matrix here, which I have labeled as mortgage / bond. If there's a clearer way to put that, please let me know. And I'll be looking for your advice on staffing and cost of staffing as well, so we can plan for that. If there are no specific questions right now, I move that we close discussion on the matrix. If people have, I see you, Evelyn. I'll be with you in just a minute. And that we would then talk about the next meeting, and we would close the meeting. And then if there are specific comments, I'm happy to update the matrix accordingly. Evelyn, you had a question.
Comment, maybe a question. It's about the matrix and kind of the actual physical part of it. I wanted to thank Joy, who managed to work on the document so I could get a copy that I could actually read, because it's electronically, it's really tiny. And even when I did enlarge it, and yes, I know which buttons to hit to enlarge it, Chrome wouldn't let me scan across the page. So I could only see the first couple blocks and not the rest of it down or across. So I want to say thank you to Joy for reformatting it however she worked her magic to make it work so I could see it. I don't know if there's anything on your end that you could do to make it a little bit more adaptable to other devices. It's just something I wanted to, again, I'm not being critical. Again, I just wanted to
Sure.
thank Joy. I got to see it. Unfortunately, only like an hour before this meeting.
Yeah, this is just an introduction.
But if
And
there's a
thank
way,
you, Evelyn. I appreciate it. It is generated, it's an Excel document printed to Bluebeam at 11 by 17. And I know sometimes different softwares work in different ways and do or don't like certain things. So I apologize if it was not readily readable. I can print out copies 11 by 17 and put them in the mailbox, the board mailbox. Everyone have a hard copy. Would that be helpful?
that could work too. I mean, she did it so it's on multiple sheets and it's just 8.5 by 11. But did you say it's on Blue Box?
Bluebeam.
Bluebeam.
That's the software I use to create the PDF from the Excel file.
Okay. 'Cause I don't know if everyone's, headed towards the, coming down to the ranch either. So again, if it's electronically done, that really helps. So if someone's home printing, I mean, I print here anyways, but it was printing out teeny tiny.
Yeah, and there's a lot there, so it is hard to read. I
And
find it
I'm
small, even at
sorry.
11 by 17.
It's my apology that I have a Chromebook. I'm not going back to Microsoft, and I know
Yeah.
that there's downsides to it.
No apology needed. Anything else where people have specific thoughts or questions on the format of this matrix?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the matrix. I think it clarifies, what we've been discussing.
Well, we need to populate, and there's a long way to go. But Paul, thank you for your help with this, and thank you in advance for more help on populating some of these other numbers here in terms of staffing and bonding. Any insights on that?
I think also
Excellent.
having had the discussion on it gives us a better understanding to then be in a position to possibly make recommendations on changes or to move forward with it.
Excellent. If there are no other pressing issues, may I move that we set our next meeting for the 4th Thursday of February,
Fourth
which is
Wednesday?
the 24th.
Wednesday? Fourth Wednesday?
Wednesday? Is today Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes,
There we go. Today is
you're as
Wednesday.
bad as I am.
All day. If I'm not looking at my device here, yeah, I'm lost. So Wednesday, thank you for pointing me in the right direction.
So that would be the
The
23rd?
23rd.
Mhm.
And barring any changes in COVID or technology, I guess we probably would have a similar format of meeting to what we are doing now.
Here's hoping,
Okay,
if there's
who's
changes.
hoping, yes. Then I would move we close the meeting. Is there a second?
I'll
I
second
can't
it.
vote.
Very good. It looks like unanimous closure. Good.
Good.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.
What? Assign a new host?
Maybe because you're leaving.
It wants you to be the host.
Wants me?
It says Marie. Maybe it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
next person. I have no idea how this works.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to talk to Steph about this.
I don't want to be the host. All by myself. I'll be here all by myself.
Oh,
So is it
you
gonna
know,
be-
if you two leave, then I can shut it down.
Let
Hello.
me just ask, proposing Zoom for the next meeting?
Probably.
Did he propose Zoom for the next meeting?
Yeah, he did. He thinks that we might have to go virtual
Okay.
again. How does that work for you? Is that
Okay.
working?
Well, it was hard for me today because I couldn't get up to my upstairs, to the computer upstairs, because it's still working here. So I did the best I could on my computer downstairs. I don't have good reception, and it cut out quite a few times. So
Yeah, no, that
it-
feeling.
it was limping along. Anyway, so
sorry.
we'll see you.
Till the next time.
Hopefully I'll be, yes. Okay, take care.
Hey, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jerry.
I leave.
Okay.
Okay.
And then end meeting for all.